Friends, the current West Asian conflict, which some analysts call as the fourth oil shock, it's really a very big shock, economic shock. The crisis actually creates an immediate economic volatility, but I would like to call it as a wake up call or an opportunity for transformation. Can we not look at it as a strategic opening, transformation beyond dependence of fossil fuels? The high prevailing oil prices now, that is more than $100 per barrel, almost like 120 as of date, this definitely promotes, it's a catalyst for fast track investments in renewable energy, green hydrogen, electric mobility, also affecting the consumer behavior. The rising prices and the lack of availability will push customers towards electric mobility and renewable sources of energies for cooking, for transportation. The current situation, approximately 20% of the oil supply has been disrupted worldwide because of the closure of, or partial closure, or almost full closure of the Strait of Hormuz. Definitely, this is affecting inflation, trade deficits, aviation turbine fuel price increase, the transportation cost increase. Worldwide, every country is getting affected. In fact, some countries are more affected, and different countries are managing the show in different ways. Like some countries, like Japan, they are releasing their reserves, the strategic reserves of oil to tide over the situation. In some countries like China, they are stopping all the exports, they're containing all the products within them and conserving them. A country like India, we looked around for alternate sources of supply and we are trying to cap the prices of the petroleum products and trying to increase the availability by sourcing from different places. There are some countries which has already tried out rationing. That means hindering availability of products to the consumers. Many countries the prices have shot up. Some countries there have been restrictions of people movement, taking the cars out, working out, going out. At least in India, we are fortunate that we are not that affected, except in the case of LPG or the cooking fuel. But definitely, this will trigger the consumer interest as well as the government push towards more and more usage of PNG and other sources of renewable energy, biomass, and things like that. As a strategy, we have to involve more and more investment in developing more of exploration sites, more of production of oil and gas in India. There has been some good news about some findings of oil and gas in Andaman and Nicobar and things like that. There is a requirement for accelerated exploration, more and more investment into that. We have a good amount of strategic storage for crude oil. Countries like Japan or even China is having still much bigger. The oil security is very high because they have a huge quantities of oil strategic reserves available. So let us look at these moments of energy pain as a catalyst for structural transformation. So innovation moves from luxury to necessity. We can see that India traditionally we are still dependent heavily on fossil fuels. You know, almost 50% of our energy requirements today are met through coal, and still a major portion of our energy mix is contributed by oil and gas, and very little contribution still comes from other non-fossil sources of energy, things like nuclear energy, hydroelectric energy, and renewable sources of energy, wind, solar, and things like that contribute very little. And the transformation is very slow, much slower than what is expected. And when you come to the power, electricity generation or power generation, almost 60% is contributed by coal still, and almost 30% is contributed by oil and gas. So there is a need for a transformation. There are a lot of new promising technologies which are still under research and development, and they're being industrialized or pilot plant stage or industrialization stage. One very important promising aspect is hydrogen energy. There is a national green hydrogen mission being followed. There is a need to accelerate this. A lot of infrastructure development is required even for oil and gas, expanding the piping network, especially for PNG, expanding the piping network so that more and more consumers shift from LPG to PNG. Ethanol addition, we have actually already achieved 20% addition of ethanol into petrol. So there are more possibilities of usage of ethanol directly into cooking fuel. Some countries like South Korea has all of a sudden enhanced the usage of nuclear energy because of this crisis. So to conclude my talk, a country like India, which is the third largest consumer of oil and gas, fossil fuels, we are importing almost 88% of our requirement of oil. This oil shock serves like a massive incentive for us to transform the dialogue on the environmental sustainability into economic survival. Specific sectors in India like public transport and logistics, where all we can transform very fast, very quickly. Thank you.